Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Josh Warrington defeats Kiko Martinez by 7th round stoppage to win the IBF featherweight title. Of course now, this is his second reign as an IBF champion at featherweight. And all in all, despite Kiko Martinez's effort in this fight and despite his bravery, Josh Warrington really dominated this fight from start to finish. He started the first round extremely well. In round one, the initial sort of minute and a half, Warrington was boxing behind the jab, keeping a nice tight guard, and really picking his spots when to let go of his shots. As the round progressed, Josh Warrington got more comfortable and he pushed Kiko Martinez back, and he really started to go to town on Kiko Martinez while Kiko Martinez was against the ropes. Warrington was doing a good job of smothering Martinez while getting his own shots off. In round one, there was a head clash. Warrington reckless with the head. We've said that a few times now. That caused a cut on Kiko Martinez's eye. And towards the end of the round, Martinez opened up and Josh Warrington caught Kiko with a counter, which dropped Kiko Martinez. So round one was a disastrous start to this fight for Kiko Martinez. Round two didn't really go much better. Josh Warrington was really going for the early stoppage in this fight, trying to do what he did in the first round, pushing Kiko back, pushing him against the ropes, really working him over with combinations to body and head. And when he wasn't doing that, Josh Warrington was utilising a really good jab, and he displayed that jab throughout this fight. In round three, Warrington started to be a bit more, he started to box more in round three. I think he realised that going on the way he did in the first couple of rounds, if he weren't to get the stoppage, he could be in trouble late on. So Warrington kind of lowered the work rate, started to box a lot more behind that jab, keeping the distance against Kiko Martinez. Kiko Martinez, in this fight, his legs were noticeably slower than a few years ago, and he was really struggling to close that gap. He was overreaching with his shots. Warrington would time him with that jab, and also uppercuts as Kiko fell in. And yeah, Warrington was picking some good shots in the third round. And honestly, from round three onwards, it was a somewhat of a boxing display from Josh Warrington. He was picking his spots when he wanted to attack and flurry on Kiko Martinez, whereas other times he was really kind of, I wouldn't say backpedaling per se, but taking a half step back, popping the jab, maintaining range, and keeping Kiko at arm's length. You know, Kiko would land the odd body shot here and there, the odd left hook, the odd overhand right, but nothing too serious on Josh Warrington. And yeah, as the fight was playing out, Kiko Martinez's face was becoming more and more bloody. Like I said, the cuts on the eyes were opened up by head clashes, I believe. And yeah, I think it was round 5 and round 6, or round 6, sorry. There was another head clash. Warrington blatantly going in with a head recklessly, and it opened up another cut on Kiko Martinez, this time on the forehead of Martinez. So by this stage, by the mid-rounds, Kiko Martinez is a bloody mess. Round 7, which is where the fight ended, is funny because Kiko Martinez started the round by arguably landing his best shot of the fight. He landed a really big overhand right on Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington held on, he kind of recovered, and immediately he jumped right on Kiko Martinez, opened up with a flurry of punches, teeing off on Kiko on the ropes, and eventually the referee jumped in to wave it off. I think it was a good stoppage. Kiko was taking a bit of a beating. It was clear in this fight that he is years past his best. I mean, we saw that in the Kid Galahad fight before he got that punch. So, you know, this was what it was. Warrington was expected to win, and that's exactly what he did. And yeah, all in all, this was a pretty good performance by Josh Warrington. I was impressed with his jab in this fight and his composure. And after the second round, you know, he was really picking his spots quite well. When to box, when to fight, etc, etc. So listen, in regards to the performance, Warrington did what he needed to do in this fight. Now let's get into the negatives, and you guys know I like a moan. Josh Warrington, in my opinion, when it comes to elite level boxing, is becoming one of the most dirty fighters in the game. Once again in this fight, reckless use of the head. That head opened up multiple cuts on Kiko Martinez, and it really took him out of the fight. And don't get me wrong, based on what I saw from Kiko very early on in this fight, I don't think he would have won anyway, but multiple cuts being opened up by the head certainly isn't going to help his cause. So the use of the head in this fight was an utter disgrace. The commentary didn't mention it once. So that was a bit... I'm getting sick of Warrington in regards to that. We saw it in the Lara fight. We've seen it in this fight. We saw it in the Lee Selby fight. Warrington has a tendency to use his head. There's no doubt about it. Very reckless. Again, I've said this before the fight. How this fight came about was nothing short of embarrassing. Of course, once upon a time, Warrington had this belt before, and Kid Galahad was his Mando. He chose not to fight Galahad. He ducked that. He vacated. Proceeded to fight Maurizio Lara. Got knocked the fuck out. Rematched Maurizio Lara. Basically cheated his way out of getting knocked out again. Kid Galahad got knocked out against Kiko. And here we have Josh Warrington not trying to avenge his Lara defeat, but he jumps right back into a title shot, fighting for the title that he vacated against a guy he beat years ago. I mean, let's just be real. This is well, what you're seeing in regards to this situation with Josh Warrington is a privileged fighter. How he got this title shot, I think is embarrassing, honestly. I mean, put it like this. He vacated that title, and just over a year later, after getting knocked out and not winning a fight since, he's fighting for that same title that he vacated because the title holder was weak. I mean, it's embarrassing. The whole situation is embarrassing. And the post-fight interview really pissed me off with Eddie Hearn and Josh Warrington himself. You know, they was... obviously, as they do, talking about what is next, etc, etc. They was mentioning a Lee Wood fight, which is a good fight, by the way. And they was mentioning this, that, and the other. Mark Magsayo, Leo Santa Cruz, all these guys. Not one mention of Maurizio Lara. Warrington is saying, oh, I want to fight in America next. Fight Lara in America. Fight Lara in America. But we know the reason why that's not going to happen, because Josh would get knocked the fuck out again. That's the reality. He would have got knocked out again in the rematch if it wasn't for his fucking head. That's the reality. Josh Warrington, as far as I'm concerned, is a paper champion, fake champion, whatever you want to call it. I mean, this whole situation is embarrassing for boxing. I mean, it's an absolute joke. As far as I'm concerned, the fight they should make next, obviously, if they can get a unification fight, fair enough. But these guys are out here acting like Maurizio Lara doesn't exist. It's one of the most embarrassing duck jobs I've seen in boxing for quite some time. I mean, Josh was very brave going into that rematch, saying all the right things. But as soon as reality hit, and he started to feel that power, he used that head and weaseled his way out, and he's happy with that. He's happy with a no contest. He's happy with that. That's the champion. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. The guy's a paper champion. Paper champion, nothing more, nothing less. Peace.